Hi, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Vintage Mego. This week, I'm not showing you a toy, but an empty box. And I'm going to explain why it's absolutely one of the rarest things I've ever come across and owned. So, to begin, let's take a trip back to 1974. Mego is going to have an epic Toyfair this year. They're riding high on the success of the superheroes, but they also now have the Planet of the Apes license, which is huge. So when you go through the pages of the 1974 catalog, there is very little that's presented that didn't get made, which is really rare. They were just working on all cylinders and things were really going well. There are some exceptions. On the superhero line, the Bend and Flex carry case did not make it to market. On the American West line, the Dodge City playset strangely didn't make it to market. That one is kind of a head scratcher for me. And in the Action Jackson line, the Adventure set didn't get made. It's interesting to note that this is the only new Action Jackson item that didn't get made that year. New outfits came out and a playset, but for some reason this set didn't make it to market, and I have a theory as to the why. What the Adventure set is a bundling of previously released items into a new package. This is done a lot with Big Jim and G.I. Joe Adventure Team at the time, so it's kind of following suit. It's a large box that would contain the Scramble Cycle, the helicopter, the parachute plunge set, and one Action Jackson doll. So if you gave this to a kid, he would have an instant Action Jackson collection. It probably didn't get made because it really didn't offer anything new. I mean, if a store buyer already had the helicopter and Scramble Cycle and they weren't setting the world on fire sales-wise, packaging them together really didn't offer any advantage other than a higher price tag and a bigger shelf space. It makes perfect sense that Mego would have printed the boxes already because it's a low-cost thing to do. They already have all the tooling and the items, and they were probably going to do the assembly somewhere in the United States. So this is actually a production box, and one of the only ones that survived. So how did I get it? Well, it's actually an interesting story. Many years ago when the Mego Museum interviewed Neil Kublin, he mentioned a junior employee, then very young, who he said had everything, prototypes, original packaging, that sort of thing. But we had trouble tracking her down because of maiden names and such, and we just kind of left it to the stuff of legend. Flash forward to about 2008, and I got contacted by a well-known toy collector and dealer in Florida that I knew, who claimed that he bought the contents of the 1974 Mego showroom from a former employee. And I knew the name, asked him if it was, and he claimed he verified that was the same person. So he had inadvertently tracked down this woman. And this was a heck of a find. Original display boxes, a prototype Planet of the Apes figure of Zira, and some unproduced items like this adventure set. This all went up for auction, and the results were spectacular. People were throwing tens of thousands of dollars around, and it was just fun to sit and watch the fireworks. Prior to the auction, I actually went down to Florida to look at this stuff, and I got to tell you, it was just a wonderful experience to see it all together like this and hold it. However, I'm not made of money, so I picked one item that I thought I could easily afford and threw everything at it. I bid on some other stuff, but I got outbid. And I luckily managed to score this for, it was not unfair, but I mean, not cheap either. It's one of those things that you just know that you'll never see again, and I have a love for Action Jackson, so this really made a lot of sense, and it's hung over my desk since I bought it. I almost lost it in a flood when I was moving, and it really, really irked me, and I was so grateful that it was actually left intact. This is one of those pieces where you pay for it, and you don't care if you're ever able to get your original investment out of it. It's just so cool and fun to own. I'm not sure I'll ever get my money back on this. Action Jackson isn't Star Wars, but in the same regard, I don't care. This is a piece of history. It's a piece of art. and I absolutely love it, and I hope you've enjoyed me sharing it with you. Are you a fan of Action Jackson? Let us know at Twitter, at Mego Museum, on our Facebook group, Mego Mania, or at our forums at megomuseum.com. We have new members every day, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. If you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll deliver a new Mego Museum Vintage Mego every other week. Take care.